Did you know that scientific studies have shown that active faith can reduce stress, boost emotional resilience, and even improve heart health? Quick pause for engagement. If you're going through tough times, this might just be the key you've been missing to transform your life. I'm your name, and today I'm sharing a message that can completely change the way you see your struggles, delays, and doubts. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button and drop a comment below. What's the biggest challenge you faced, and how did you overcome it? I'd love to hear your story. In this video, you'll discover not just why God seems silent sometimes, but how that pause might actually be the greatest gift you could receive. I'll share real-life examples of people who faced the impossible and are now living stories of victory, along with practical techniques to strengthen your faith and mindset while you wait for the right moment. So stick with me until the end, because this message was made exactly for you, someone who needs hope and confirmation that God is about to surprise you at the perfect time. If you believe that, go ahead and share this video to spread encouragement to others. Now, let's embark on this journey together. Maybe you've been praying, for weeks, months, maybe even years, asking God for clarity, for healing, for breakthrough. And all you hear is silence. But what if that silence isn't absence? What if the silence is strategy? In American life, we're used to fast answers. Amazon Prime, 2-day shipping, instant downloads. But when it comes to God, He doesn't operate on human schedules. Sometimes, heaven is quiet because the ground is being prepared. Because the enemy is being pushed back. Because you are being shaped in the waiting. Throughout Scripture, silence has always been the stage for a setup. Think about it. Before Jesus stepped into public ministry, He spent 30 years in obscurity. 30 years of silence. But in that silence, purpose was growing. And when the time was right, the silence broke, and the world changed forever. So maybe what you're hearing right now isn't nothing. Maybe it's God saying, "Be still. Trust me. I'm working, even when you don't hear me." Silence doesn't mean God left the room. Sometimes, it means He's about to enter it, in power. Sometimes, it means He's about to enter it, in power. And maybe, just maybe, the very thing that's breaking your heart today isn't punishment. It's preparation. See, pain doesn't mean God has abandoned you. It means He's planting something inside you that only pain could protect. No one asks to be broken. No one wakes up praying for disappointment, loss, betrayal, or failure. But what if those cracks you feel in your soul are where the light is going to shine through? The truth is, every testimony begins in a place that doesn't feel holy. It begins in a moment of confusion. A night of crying. A season of silence. But your pain is not pointless. It's packed with potential. Because the same God who allowed Joseph to be thrown into a pit, accused falsely in a foreign land, forgotten in a prison cell, was the same God who was preparing him for a palace he didn't even know existed. There's no shortcut to deep faith. It's forged in fire. It's shaped in storms. And what you're carrying right now, the disappointment, the delay, the detour, it's not just happening to you. It's happening in you. God is building something within you that success alone could never produce. Character, compassion, humility, dependence. We live in a culture that hides brokenness, filters it, edits it, avoids it. But God doesn't waste broken things. In fact, He uses them. He used David's failure to teach him repentance. He used Ruth's grief to position her for legacy. He used Paul's prison to write letters that still change lives today. So what if this chapter of your life, the one that feels the most painful, is actually the beginning of the chapter someone else will one day need to hear? What if your tears today are watering the very ground of someone else's breakthrough tomorrow? It's not always about being strong. Sometimes, the most powerful moments in life happen when you finally drop the weight, fall to your knees, and say, God, I don't understand, but I trust you anyway. Because He sees what you can't. He knows where this is going. He's not just letting this happen. He's letting it shape you. That relationship that ended. That door that closed. That dream that seems buried. It may feel like loss. But in the kingdom of God, nothing is lost. It's planted. And what is planted in faith, will rise in power. You may not see it yet. But the pain you're carrying is the soil where purpose is growing. So hold on. Breathe again. Because one day, you'll look back on this moment and say, that was the moment God started writing my testimony. And it won't be a story of how strong you were. It'll be a story of how faithful He was. It'll be a story of how faithful He was. And right now, maybe nothing around you makes sense. Maybe you're looking at the pieces of your life, scattered like a puzzle dumped on the floor. No edges, no pattern, no picture. You're asking God, why this? Why now? Why me? And all you get is more uncertainty. But let me tell you something. Confusion is often the curtain God pulls closed before the reveal. You don't see it yet. But timing is everything. Because God isn't just working on your situation. He's working on you. He's working on people you haven't met yet. He's aligning moments, conversations, divine encounters. So when it finally happens, it's right. Not rushed. Not fragile. But appointed. Have you ever watched the sky right before dawn? It's the darkest just before the light breaks in. That's not poetic. It's reality. And spiritually, it's the same. When your world feels most chaotic. When plans fall apart. When doors don't open. When prayers feel unanswered. It might not be a sign that God is far away. But that His timing is dangerously close. You see, God doesn't panic like we do. He's not surprised. He's not late. He's not improvising. He's the same God who waited until Lazarus was dead before He came. Why? Because resurrection stories don't happen when things are still barely holding on. They happen when everything looks impossible. So maybe you feel like your story has no direction. But He's not lost. You are not forgotten in the fog. You are being positioned in the process. There is a sacred delay happening. Not a denial. Not a dismissal. But a delay, for your protection. For your preparation. And here's what's wild. While you're pacing in worry, God is weaving things together. Behind the scenes. In rooms you haven't walked into. In hearts you haven't encountered. In timing only He understands. So what do you do when nothing makes sense? You don't give up. You don't run ahead. You don't force open doors that were meant to stay shut. You stay. You trust. You hold on with quiet confidence that just because you don't see movement, doesn't mean nothing's moving. Because the truth is, sometimes, the last thing to change is what's visible. Everything else is already shifting beneath the surface. He's getting closer. He's aligning your steps. He's stretching your faith. And when the moment comes, when the time is finally right, it will not be by accident. It will not be delayed. It will arrive exactly on time. His time. It will arrive exactly on time. His time. And when it does, you'll look back at what you thought was a loss. And realize it was protection. Because here's something no one really wants to admit. Not everything you wanted was good for you. Not every opportunity was meant to last. Not every person who walked with you was meant to walk with you forever. You didn't lose. You were spared. God doesn't just open doors, He closes them too. And sometimes, the door that slammed shut in your face was the one that would have led to your destruction. You begged for it to work. You prayed for it to stay. You gave your all to hold it together. And when it slipped through your hands, it felt like failure. It felt like rejection. It felt like punishment. But now you're starting to see it differently, aren't you? That job that didn't hire you. Maybe it would have drained your soul. That relationship that ended. Maybe it would have broken you slowly, piece by piece. That dream that crumbled. Maybe it was built on a foundation too weak to carry what God had in mind for you. You see, God sees what's ahead. You only see what's in front. He's not trying to hurt you. He's trying to heal you before the damage even starts. That's not cruelty, that's mercy. And let's be honest. How many times have you begged God to bring something back? Only to thank Him later that He didn't. He loves you too much to let you settle. Too much to say, yes, when, no, will save you. So the next time you feel like something was ripped from your hands, pause. Breathe. And say, God, if you took it, I trust you have something better. Because you're not being punished. You're being redirected. Not away from something good, but towards something divinely better. And maybe the ache you feel right now is just your soul adjusting to the weight it no longer has to carry. So let it go. Stop chasing what God already removed. Stop grieving what He's already redeemed. Let your hands be open again. Not to lose, but to receive. Because when God closes a door, it's never to leave you outside. It's to lead you to the one that was always meant for you. The promise didn't die, it's just on pause. To the one that was always meant for you. But maybe now, you're not grieving what was taken. You're waiting on what was promised. And the silence is stretching longer than you thought it would. You prayed. You believed. You held on to a word. A whisper from God that lit something inside you. And yet, nothing's happening. No signs. No movement. Just delay. And somewhere along the way, a thought began to creep in. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe the promise is dead. But listen closely now. The promise didn't die. It's just on pause. Because what God speaks never returns empty. He doesn't throw out words to fill the silence. He speaks on purpose, with purpose, for a purpose. And when He makes a promise, He binds Himself to it. The pause you're feeling isn't God backing out. It's God building in. It's not denial. It's development. You see, we want microwave miracles. But God grows oak trees, not fast food. He's not just giving you what you asked for. He's shaping you to carry it. Because a blessing that arrives too soon can crush you instead of lift you. Think about Abraham. He waited 25 years for Isaac. Not because God forgot, but because God was forming faith in the waiting. Because the delay wasn't about the promise. It was about the man who would receive it. And maybe that's where you are right now. Not denied. Not disqualified. Just delayed. But there's purpose in the pause. In the quiet. In the unseen. He's preparing the table and preparing you to sit at it. So don't bury the promise just because you haven't seen the fulfillment. Keep watering it with faith. Keep standing when everything tells you to sit down and give up. Because there will come a moment. In a way you didn't expect. On a day you didn't predict. When God will say, now. And suddenly, everything will begin to make sense. Not because it happened quickly, but because it happened right. So hold on. The pause is not the end. It's just the space between the spoken word and the fulfilled one. The promise is still alive. And so are you. The promise is still alive. And so are you. And maybe right now, you're standing in a place you never planned to be. Somewhere off the map. A version of life you didn't imagine. A route you wouldn't have chosen. You're looking around, thinking, how did I end up here? This isn't what I prayed for. This wasn't the plan. But what if the detour was never a detour to God? What if this road, twisting, broken, unfamiliar, was the exact one He intended for you all along? Because God doesn't just guide through open doors and green lights. Sometimes, He guides through interruption. Through disruption. Through closed roads, missed turns, and unexpected exits. You think it's a delay. He calls it direction. You call it a detour. He calls it divine alignment. Look at Moses. He didn't find his calling in the palace. He found it in the wilderness. 40 years off track, only to realize that was the track. Look at Jonah. He ran the opposite way. But even the belly of the fish was on the map in God's eyes. David was anointed king as a boy, but spent years hiding in caves, running for his life, before ever touching the throne. That wasn't wasted time. That was formation time. So what if where you are right now, in the unfamiliar, the in-between, the uncomfortable, isn't punishment, but positioning? What if the things you thought disqualified you were actually what equipped you? What if the heartbreak, the failure, the wrong turn was exactly what softened your heart, humbled your spirit, and sharpened your faith? God doesn't just lead through clarity. Sometimes He leads through confusion that brings you to your knees. Not because He enjoys watching you wander, but because He knows there are things you only find on the long road. Things like resilience, compassion, wisdom, dependence. And maybe the real purpose was never the destination, but the kind of person you would become along the way. So stop telling yourself you're lost. Stop thinking you missed it. You're not behind. You're not off course. You're exactly where grace said you'd be. And when you finally step into what He's been preparing for you, you'll see. Every delay, every detour, every why was actually a why not from heaven. Because the long road builds deeper roots. And the long road leads to lasting promises. Every delay, every detour, every why was actually a why not from heaven. And here's something else to hold on to. Your story is not just about what's happening to you. It's about what God is doing through you. Sometimes we get stuck thinking the chapters of pain, struggle, and waiting are just about us surviving. But they're not. They're about you becoming. Becoming a light for someone lost in darkness. A voice for someone silenced by fear. A hope for someone ready to give up. Every tear you've cried, every moment you felt alone. Every time you wondered if God even cared. He was writing a story that will inspire millions. You might not see it yet, but your journey is a bridge. A bridge between brokenness and breakthrough. Between despair and deliverance. Between pain and purpose. Look at the heroes of faith. They weren't perfect. They weren't without fault. But they trusted God even when the path was unclear. And their stories didn't just change their own lives. They changed generations. Your story has the same power. Because God uses ordinary people with extraordinary faith. People who don't give up. Who don't settle. Who hold on to God's promises even when everything inside screams to let go. So don't waste the waiting. Don't despise the delays. Each moment of struggle is God's way of polishing your character, deepening your faith, and expanding your influence. One day, when you share your testimony, you'll see that what felt like setbacks were really setups. Setups for a greater purpose. Setups for a divine appointment. Setups for a life that will touch countless others. So keep going. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Because God is not just preparing a breakthrough. He's preparing you to carry it. And when that moment comes, you won't just have a story to tell, you'll have a legacy to leave. You won't just have a story to tell, you'll have a legacy to leave. And finally, remember this. God's surprises often come disguised as challenges. The struggles you face today might be the very stepping stones to your greatest joy tomorrow. What feels like the end could be the beginning of something far beyond your imagination. You may not understand His plans right now. You may feel weary, overwhelmed, even defeated. But here's the truth that changes everything. God specializes in turning messes into messages. He redeems brokenness. He transforms ashes into beauty. The moment you think all hope is lost is the moment He's already preparing your breakthrough. Don't let doubt blind you to His power. Don't let fear silence the promise on your heart. God's surprises are waiting just beyond the horizon. His blessings are closer than you think. So stay faithful in the wait. Stay strong in the silence. Stay hopeful in the hardest moments. Because God's timing is perfect. His love is unchanging. And His plan for your life is greater than anything you can imagine. And when He moves, you will know it. Your heart will leap. Your soul will sing. And your life will be forever changed. This is not just a message, it's a promise. God is about to surprise you.